Welcome to Top Gear Mag India. Today we have a very serious discussion at hand. What did one Japanese SUV say to another? Are you a hybrid? Because you have been giving me some serious electric competition. I know, at first I chuckled at the joke myself, but then later realized not many would get it. And that is because there are not enough takers for the strong hybrid technology despite them offering some phenomenal fuel efficiency figures. 25 kmpl and in real world you can easily extract 18 kilometers to the liter. Yet 70% of the Grand Vitara sold in the market are the mild hybrid 4-cylinder variants, and the Honda Elevate, we all expected it to be launched with a strong hybrid variant, but Honda decided against it and gave us just the one naturally aspirated engine. I guess they've taken some experience from the City EHEV. Now that we know where the market trends are, let us talk about where should you be spending your money better. Am I already suggesting that the Elevate is a better product? Well, in terms of the pricing, yes, because it is close to 70,000 cheaper than the Grand Vitara. Let's quickly talk about the pricing. The variants that we have tested, rupees 17.07 lakhs for the Grand Vitara Alpha Dual Tone Smart Hybrid 6-speed torque converter. Oh, that is a long name from the long list of variants that Maruti is offering for you, and rupees 16.24 lakhs for the Elevate ZX-CV Dual Tone. So as you can see, the Elevate clearly has a price advantage, and when you compare their on-road prices, the difference would expand to almost a lakh. So a Honda is almost a lakh cheaper than the Grand Vitara? I like where this is going. Why? Because it is a Honda. When a vehicle sports that H logo on the front, it has a few expectations to meet in terms of the fit and finish, in terms of the engine performance, in terms of the ride quality, in terms of the quality of materials, and also in terms of the engineering behind it all. And these are the aspects that the Elevate truly shines in. Now, it is really difficult to differentiate between both of these SUVs because both of them are Japanese and both of them are built really well, but it is the Elevate that makes you feel special. For starters, the Elevate is a lot more uncommon as compared to the Grand Vitara, which means people will be looking at your vehicle a lot longer, and there is plenty to admire. Starting from the front, the face is upright but it is tall. It gives it a very imposing look. Also, the shoulder lines are really strong. The dimensions very well proportionate as compared to the Grand Vitara, which tries a little too hard to hide the same platform that it shares with the Brezza, especially when you look at it from the side angle. Also, the Elevate, it ditches that unconventional split headlamp setup and uses that traditional headlamp setup, which makes it look a lot more mature, a lot more accomplished. Now, both of these SUVs will want your attention the way that the rear has been set up, but it is the Grand Vitara that does the connected LED tail strip a lot better than the Elevate, almost like a Porsche Cayenne or a Porsche Macan. However, once you open the boot, it is the Honda Elevate that has a better boot space in terms of the shape, in terms of the accessibility, and also in terms of sheer numbers. Yes, the boot on the Elevate is by far much more usable. Now, the way that the interiors have been executed on both of these SUVs is quite different, which means it is going to be quite easy for you to choose between the two. Let's talk about the Grand Vitara first. As you sit inside the cabin, you will notice that the dashboard has a very easy layout. In the center is that cascading sort of an effect that houses the aircon unit, and right above it is a screen. Also, I absolutely love those analog dials. It sort of helps you appreciate the mechanicals that are working under the hood. However, the screen quality will want you wanting for more. Also, the output from the 360 camera isn't the sharpest. The unit that we were testing had a faulty aircon vent, and the power window switches, well, they seemed to be out of a Swift, and that is not something you would expect from a car that costs close to 20 lakhs. Also, with the Grand Vitara, yes, the cabin has a dual tone sort of a treatment, but the contrast between the two colors isn't that high, which means it all looks very dark. And the softest materials, they are not quite aligned with the plastic underneath, which makes it look a little odd, a little weird. But in contrast to the cabin of the Grand Vitara, the Elevate, it feels a lot more superior. As you step inside the elevator, you notice that the dual tone themes have been executed really well. The choice of colors makes it feel like a business lounge. Also, the cabin of the Elevate feels a lot more modern, especially the way that the screen has been set up. It is horizontal, just like the TV that sits in your living room. Also, in terms of the driver instrumentation, from a distance, it looks like two analog dials, but it is actually a semi-digital display, which means the screen on the left is a screen and the one on the right are actual analog dials, which means it is quite modern because now you have a lot more added functionalities in the screen itself, and that screen unlocks better benefits like ADAS. You have an entire suite of ADAS. Now with the Elevate, this ADAS system is only camera based. There are no radars or sensors, but still it is an added layer of safety as you're driving it on longer distances. Also, I love the fact that you have blind spot monitors, you have a lane keep assist, you have emergency braking, you have adaptive cruise control. These sort of features in a car that costs 70,000 lesser than the Grand Vitara. You see the value that the Elevate brings to the table? And there are a lot more other details around the cabin that I absolutely love. Like for instance, the start-stop button, it changes color as you operate it. And also the startup sequence on the central screen. It makes you feel as if you're driving something special, a lot more expensive. And these are things that the Grand Vitara misses out on. The same sort of an experience, the same sort of refinement also extends to the rear bench of the Honda Elevate. Now, as you open the door, you sort of flow into the car. The movement is a lot more elegant as compared to the Grand Vitara. I just wish that on the Honda, the screws for the door would have been better concealed. But once you are inside, you are welcomed to a bench that is really comfortable. The cushioning, the angle, it all makes you feel as if you're seated on a very comfortable couch. However, as compared to the Grand Vitara that has a panoramic sunroof, the Elevate only has a single pane sunroof, because of which there is very limited light that comes inside the cabin. Yet, the overall experience in the Elevate for longer distance, for your day-to-day commutes to office, is going to be a lot more comfortable. And that is also because of how the Elevate drives and handles our potholes and our road conditions. It is just phenomenal. Be it your highways undulated or not, or be it those potholes that you could or possibly would miss, it is the suspension setup of the Elevate that deals with all of these situations a lot better than the Grand Vitara. So yes, a Honda has a much better suspension setup than a Maruti. It's not just about the suspension, it's also about the powertrain. You would expect the Maruti to be a lot better in terms of a naturally aspirated engine offering, but no. Obviously, it is an iVTEC engine, so it is flavorful in the way that it delivers power. You have access to that meaty, torquey power band a lot more earlier as compared to the Grand Vitara. In the Grand Vitara, the engine feels a lot more restrained, and that is something that I have realized with these K15C engines, the ones that were introduced after the BS 6.2 emission norms. Also, in terms of the automatic variants that we have tested, the CVT transmission as opposed to a torque converter, a 6-speed torque converter, you would expect the torque converter to be better. But in the entire powertrain setup that the Grand Vitara offers, it feels a lot more restrained as compared to the Elevate. So every time it is that you step on the gas, you feel as if something is holding you back. As the transmission changes shapes, it does not have manual cogs. You all know that, I know that, you know that. But what you don't know is the way that the Honda CVT transmission delivers that linear power acceleration. So when you are accelerating away, it feels a lot more natural. We found ourselves to get better fuel efficiency numbers with the Elevate because, again, as I was speaking earlier, the engine feels a lot more natural in terms of the performance that it delivers. Because the one thing that you and me are both going to complain about is the absence of a strong hybrid technology, something that they already have in a similar sort of a setup, the City e-HEV. I had a lot of fun. I'm sure if you test drive the Elevate, you will enjoy it as well. But as a product, I feel it is highly underappreciated. If I look at the buyers in this segment, a lot of them just blindly trust a Maruti badge product and opt for the Grand Vitara, but it is the Elevate that outshines the Grand Vitara as a product in terms of the engineering, in terms of the driving experience, everything. And what I believe is that just like every other Honda that we've had in the past, the Elevate 2 has a very good legacy, but the legacy is in the making. So we will appreciate the Elevate only after a decade passes by, just like how we appreciate the City, the Civic, the CRV and all the cars that Honda had introduced us with. So if you want to be a part of that legacy, I strongly suggest that you head to a Honda showroom and you test drive the Elevate, and surely you wouldn't be disappointed. And while you're at a dealership trying out the Elevate, I also strongly suggest that you head to a Kia dealership to test out the Seltos. One variant in particular, one that I have picked for you, is the HTX 1.5 litre turbo petrol with the IMT transmission, which is priced at rupees 18.30 lakhs. Now I know as compared to the Grand Vitara, it is a lakh and 20,000 more expensive, but then just look at the benefits that you unlock. A turbocharged engine, which means you have a lot more performance at your disposal, a cabin that is a lot more better executed than the Elevate and the Grand Vitara, and features list that is comparable to SUVs that cost 50 lakh rupees. So a lakh and 20 has multiple benefits. Let me break it down for you. Now, over the last couple of minutes, I've just illustrated how the Elevate is a lot more better than the Grand Vitara, but I fully don't endorse the Elevate because of the engine performance. Picture this, the Elevate is a great weekday car but not a great weekend car. Enter the Seltos. That 1.5 litre turbocharged engine is just phenomenal. It unlocks so much power and so much torque, and it just wants you to drive it like a maniac. As long as you're not too concerned about the fuel efficiency, I am pretty sure you're going to have a lot of fun driving the Seltos. With the new facelift, they have also worked on the suspension. So as opposed to the previous one, they have firmed and also retuned the suspension, and all that power and all that torque begs for your attention. It begs for you to drive it a lot better, a lot more enthusiastically. So over the weekends, your car will beg you to take it out on a really nice driving road, explore some scenic destinations, and also while you're at it, explore some great driving roads. By the way, if you come across some really good roads across India, do let us know in the comments below, because we would like to explore them along with you. Now, talking about the facelifted Kia Seltos, not only have they worked on the engine performance, they have also worked on the suspension setup, which means that it does not float a lot as compared to the previous setup. It is a lot more mature because they have firmed it in the right places, but they have also added a lot more dampness, which means while you are tackling those sharp potholes in the city, the suspension feels a lot more softer. So overall, when you're driving it, you can drive it fast, you can drive it hard, and you can really have a ball of a time behind that steering wheel. Now you might be wondering, why is it that I opted for an IMT transmission when there is a DCT on offer? Yes, the DCT is going to be a lot more enjoyable to drive. You also have access to those lovely paddle shifters, but then it comes at a cost. And also, if there is anything wrong with your transmission, you have to shell out a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort to get it fixed. And chances of DCT transmissions going kaput is really quite high. But as compared to that, you have a great and a very intelligent manual transmission, an IMT transmission. So basically, no clutch pedal. You don't need to use your left leg. All you need to do is slot it into the required gear, and the rest of the clutch mechanism is done automatically. So you see, the IMT transmission isn't that bad. With the DCT transmission, forget fuel efficiency. With the IMT transmission, it's a great balance. Think about it, guys. Really think about it. Now, if these mechanical nuances don't really impress or bother you, let's talk about the cabin experience of the Seltos. Every surface, every material, every button is just so very well executed as compared to the other two SUVs that we were talking about earlier. You talk about the soft touch materials, it is better. You talk about the hard plastic, that is a lot better. The feedback from the switches is so great. The way that they've done the buttons on the center console, you have manual buttons for your AC. The screens are set almost aligned with the dashboard, so you have great visibility outside the cabin, and the digital cluster. Well, if you don't like a certain setup, you can change, you can toggle between a few setups. So in all, it feels a lot more modern. It feels a lot more expensive. It feels a lot more special. Also, yes, it is a dual tone cabin, and you also have a few color options basis what variant of the Seltos you are purchasing. Some offer an all black treatment, some have this beige and brown dual tone sort of a setup, the one that we tested. And it's not just the fit and finish or the execution of the cabin, the features, it's just abundant. I mean, I have a list ready for you. You have ventilated seats, all right? You have driving modes. You have enhanced sound experience thanks to Bose. And yes, it is a lot more superior. You have integrated sunblinds for the rear passenger, which obviously aids better comfort. On the outside, you have sequential turn indicators front and back. You have a lot better detailed lighting elements that have really intricate detailing on the inside. So when you're driving it around, people actually notice what it is that you are arriving in. And that is something that the Elevator and Grand Vitara cannot offer. The Seltos, it just does it so effortlessly. And it's not just about styling, because that is quite subjective. I'm talking about the execution here. The panel gaps are a lot better on the Seltos, on the inside and the outside both. So what I'm saying is that a Korean has done a far better job in terms of the cabin execution and in terms of the features than the Japanese SUVs. Now, when was the last time I got an opportunity to say something like this? Think about it. And while you are pondering on that thought, let me take you back to the day that the Seltos was first introduced in India. Since that day, it has sort of set itself as a benchmark of the segment. With the facelift, Kia has done it again. When we drove the car for the very first time in Nagpur, I came back mighty impressed just by the number of variants you have on offer, the features, the division, and the accessibility of it all. You don't want a DCT? That's okay. Pay $120,000 more than the mild hybrid variant of the Grand Vitara, and you have a car that offers so much more. And that is what I want you to consider. This is exactly the point that I'm trying to make here. $120,000, yes, it is not a small amount, but it unlocks so much more. So much more. It is very difficult for me to put this point across. So that is why I would urge you, while you're at it test driving all of these cars, you also head to a Kia dealership, you test drive the Kia Seltos, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to be disappointed by the HTX 1.5 liter TGDI IMT variant. Again, long names because a lot of variants on offer. Now, I have always believed that there are plenty of vehicles that can make you feel loved and special during the weekdays, but very few that can do that over the weekends. And that is what the Seltos brings to the table. And if that is something that, if that is an attribute that you are seeking, you will definitely fall in love with the Seltos just the way that I did. Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us, what do you think about this Comparo? It is a little unconventional. I believe so it is, because these cars are not apples to apples. But then what I wanted to bring across as a point is that if you are spending close to 17-18 lakhs, what is the best SUV that you can buy in the market? For me, the answer to that is the Kia Seltos. Do let me know if you agree with me or not. Do let me know if you find that great driving road while you're out discovering some nice destinations. Let us get chatting. Let us all connect in the comment section below, and I will see you later. Thank you so much for your time.